Hi guys, I'm back with a new video. So today I will be doing 5 tips for traveling in Japan in 2023 in about 5 minutes. If you're new here, my name is Christina. I will be traveling through Asia for the next couple of months, and I visited Japan for 2 weeks about 3 weeks ago. So now I have all the information to give back to you. I also have some information with the help of my friend Denise. She was in Japan studying there for 4 months this past fall, so she knows all the good information to give to you. Before we start, if you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. I post 2 videos per week. So let's jump right into it. So tip number 1 is bring a lot of cash with you. Not all places accept credit cards, so you will need to use your cash to go to some restaurants, to pay for activities, and also for the metro and bus. So for those things you will always need to pay cash, so do bring some cash with you. While we're on the topic of restaurants, by the way, it is not easy being vegan in Japan. Just a little FYI, some places don't even know what it means. I would really recommend exchanging money before coming to Japan, because of course you're going to have a better exchange rate in your home country than in Japan. Tip number 2 is try to use public transportation. It is very cheap and very convenient. For example, you can take the bullet trains with the JR Pass. I personally bought it. It was about $300 for 1 week when I was there. You can buy it for cheaper if you buy it in advance when you're at home. I decided to buy it because I was doing Tokyo, Kyoto, Kyoto, Tokyo, and then just for that round trip, it usually is about the cost of the JR Pass, and then I was able to go to Osaka, Nara, and Hiroshima for free. So it is advantageous if you buy it in advance and if you use it a lot. If you're staying in Tokyo and the surroundings, it might not be as useful. It might be better to just buy individual tickets. Just a little FYI as well for the JR Pass, if you are going from Tokyo to Kyoto, you will pass Mount Fuji. I would recommend booking the E-seat because that's your best view of Mount Fuji, and it's the same E-seat to go to Kyoto and to come back. So if you want to see Mount Fuji, E-seat is the best. I would also recommend getting an IC card. You can get it in any city in Japan. It costs about 500 yen. That's a deposit, so of course you get it back at the end of your trip. And it basically just saves time when you're in the metro in a hurry or whatever. You won't have to buy individual tickets every time. You won't have to have cash on you all the time. So you just refill this card and you use it every time, and it will deduct the amount of money it is for the fare from your card. Tip number 3 is get a SIM card. I personally got an eSIM card. I believe it cost me about $16 US, so $24 in Canadian dollars for about 10 days, I believe. So yeah, and it was so practical because that way you can use Google Maps and you don't have to ask for directions all the time. You can use Google Translate to translate the posters because obviously I do not understand Japanese, and also to be able to communicate with people. A lot of people in Japan don't speak English, so it is a lot easier to be able to understand people and to be understood if you can use Google Maps. I got my SIM card from eSIM, so it is an eSIM card. You don't have to put anything in your phone, but you will need another screen to be able to scan the QR code. Otherwise, if you want a SIM card, you can always go to iVideo and you can actually order it in advance and pick it up at the airport, so that's very convenient. But I wasn't prepared, so I got the eSIM instead. I also read about pocket Wi-Fi. I did not use one, but apparently it is very useful. So if you want that instead, you can also look into it. It's pretty cheap when you buy an eSIM or for example iVideo, the SIM card, but if you go in the stores, it's a little bit more expensive, so just keep that in mind. Tip number 4 is be respectful of social norms. I know it goes without saying, if you didn't know, you can't eat or drink in the streets or public transit. It is seen as disrespectful, so that's something you should always keep in mind. Do not do those things. You should also expect to wait in line for very long times. I went to Ishiran twice, that's very common ramen chain, and I went once for lunchtime and I had to wait around 45 minutes, and then another time for dinner and I waited around an hour and a half to almost 2 hours. Just get used to it. You will have to wait in line. Finally, tip number 5 is very specific to people who have tattoos like I do. Onsens are basically natural hot springs in Japan, and it is an amazing experience. It's really cool. It's basically going to the spa, but it's a natural hot spring, and it is pretty cheap to go there. I believe I paid around, I want to say $10. I might be wrong, but around $10. But not all onsens accept tattoos. A lot of places do accept tattoos, but you have to make sure you go to one that does. So that's all my 5 tips in 5 minutes. I hope it was useful. If it was, please like the video. If you want to see more content like this, once again, please subscribe. I post 2 videos per week, so I'd love for you to join. Thanks, bye!